Hello, and welcome to this month's episode of Old School or New School. And as you can see, we're doing the 95 Ghost in the Shell versus the 2017 Ghost in the Shell. I don't know if any particular reason why we bring this one up. I think we're talking about Appleseed, and since it's done by Masamune Shirow, we're like, screw it, let's do Ghost in the Shell.
Well, I think that's what happened is like we started talking about animes that we liked, and Masamune Shirow came up, and we were just kind of like, I think I was like, have you ever seen Appleseed? And you were like, no.
I've never seen Appleseed.
Oh.
No, I've not seen the original Appleseed. I've seen the three movies.
I gotcha. All right.
Because we were looking for some stuff to potentially watch. And I'm like, oh, Appleseed. I'm like, I remember liking that one. I'm like, and you were like, had you seen the original anime? I had not seen the original anime.
Yeah. I like Shiro Masamune. I think everything that he's put out is just visually stunning. The dude is a master at his craft, like of doing like the graphical story lines, and then like his illustrations. I've got like tons of comic books downstairs that he actually put out.
I think I've got a few Ghost in the Shell comics. I don't remember what I have by him, but I've got a few of them. And that was back in the day, like when they were putting manga in individual issues, like in comic books, where you could buy an issue of manga rather than just the bulk.
Yeah. Yeah, the book that had like a couple in them.
Yeah.
I was doing the same thing. The American, like all the Akira books that came out, like it was like, I bought all of those. Yojimbo. There was like a ton of them that I ended up picking up. There was even a anime that's like a lot of people don't know about called Outlanders. That was fantastic. And
I don't know if I remember that
they
one.
did a comic book in America, and it was like one of the goriest, chibi looking art shows. I fucking loved it. It was great, but
So, shall we do want to start off giving scores and then just start breaking down and see which one we kind of prefer from there?
Yeah, well, so we're gonna do the score for the old one first.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
The original.
So, what would you give the animated Ghost in the Shell movie? Scale 0 to 10.
I would give it. I'd give it a 7.
Okay. So I really have no idea what you might think. So I kind of erred on the side of it being Masamune, and I'm like, maybe he liked it. So I went with an 8, which is close.
That's very close.
That's close.
Yeah, no. Anime is something that we don't talk a lot about.
No, it's what we talk about, like very old school. Like remember back in the day when like you had to just know someone who could get you anime.
Okay,
That's a little bit before my time.
okay. So I'm gonna flex my age and
It's more of age.
So when I was 12 years old. Well, hold on. Let's do the scores here first, and
Sure.
then
We'll get into story time after that.
So Nick, on a scale from 0 to 10, what would you give the 1985?
95.
95 Ghost in the Shell.
I think I'm also on a 7.
7. Bam. All right.
What about the 2017 one?
2017. Let's see. I gave it a 7.
No, you gave the other one a 7, yeah.
So I would give this one a 6.
That one at least got.
Yep.
That one at least got.
Yep. And we'll go into that more.
Yeah.
But how about you?
I think I'm also going to give it a 6.
6. Okay. So I thought you were going to say 5.
I was edging between. So for the 95 one, I was between 6 and 7. Mm-hmm. And for the 2017 one, I was between 5 and 6. I knew I liked the anime more. Mm-hmm. But I think there was and the remake was okay. And I kept trying to stop comparing it to the movie, because it's not necessarily what it's about. How much do I like the movie, not how much do I like it as a Ghost in the Shell adaptation. As an adaptation, I didn't particularly enjoy it, but as a movie, it was all right. There was stuff in it that was kind of visually neat, and then there was a bunch of visual noise.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to spoiler talk.
Yes. So
after we do our scores, we go into spoilers.
Time for you to reach the remote and be like, I've not watched these movies yet, but you've had. So I would say, if you're into anime, Ghost in the Shell is one of those.
Classics.
It's one of those inspiration points for a lot of people. Watching this one, you might see, if you're a fan of like newer stuff, you might be able to watch this one and see like, oh, I know this from that. Well, it links back to Ghost in the Shell, and this person was inspired by that, and this person was inspired by it. And if you play like Cyberpunk, I mean, this is sort of around that same-ish time too, and there's a lot of inspiration points in this that kind of left off from the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other movie,
If you like Scarlett Johansson, you know,
which I do.
or the guy who played Euron Greyjoy from Game of Thrones as Bato. But yeah, spoiler talk. Here we go. So I was worried initially when I watched the original Ghost in the Shell. It had been so long since I'd seen it that it was almost like watching it for the first time for me again.
I remembered bits, but mostly from the beginning, because as you can see, I own not only the 25th anniversary Blu-ray, but I own like it on DVD. And the reason why is kind of like I've not seen it since like on a VHS or something silly like that, despite me owning the DVD. It's more like I would go into Best Buy, see the DVD, and go, "Oh, I remember loving this movie. $10. Who could pass it up?" So I'd buy it on DVD or whatever,
Right.
and kind of like have it in my DVD collection. Because I think at that point in time I was watching Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which I'd seen some of. I've not seen all of it because, again, we'll kind of go back to our back in the day topic on anime, because that coalesces with that. And then it came out on Blu-ray, and it was like $12 to own it on Blu-ray.
Why
Who
not?
could pass up such an opportunity?
Why
and
not?
then I never watched the Blu-ray.
Oh, so you've never seen this?
I just watched this on Blu-ray because
Okay.
we decided we were going to talk about it. And it's just the movie again. It's just,
Okay.
a higher quality because it's on a Blu-ray.
Well, it was weird to me. Okay, so
And then I also bought the Ghost in the Shell one and be like, hey, one day I want to see what the big deal is with this one. So back in like 2017, I bought that.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it until just...
so
I own all three of them. I maybe watched the DVD. I had not watched the other two. I know for a fact I hadn't watched the two with the Blu-rays, but they're in my collection.
So I went and saw Ghost in the Shell 2017 when it came out in the theaters.
Okay.
Hated it.
Okay.
But I think that's when I was going through my period of, I think, where I was infected with the whole thing that a lot of other people were, where it's like...
It's a remake, therefore it's bad.
Well, that's my... So we're going to talk about that here. Is part of my issue is it's not really even technically a remake.
No.
It's a completely different story.
For the most part, yeah.
Like, it hits some of the beats, like some of the cooler beats of the original, like, anime.
And they kind of weave the villain, what was it, Cujo? I don't remember his name. Cusco.
Cusco. Boom, baby.
They take three villains from... They took Puppet Master, they took the Laughing Man, and they took like another villain and kind of like jammed them into one villain. And then they kind of just referenced back to a bunch of shots in this movie, kind of poorly, in my opinion.
I have a question. The animated one. Did you watch it dubbed or subbed?
Subbed.
Okay, I watched it dubbed. They never said the Laughing Man.
No, he's from... The Laughing Man's from
Standalone Complex. Okay.
The one in this one is Puppet Master.
Okay.
So they took the Puppet Master villain from the original. They took the Laughing Man from like I think the first season of Standalone Complex, and I think there's another villain, and I don't remember which one because I've not seen all the Ghost in the Shell stuff, and they kind of jammed him and gave him qualities from like that villain qualities from each of those people.
Okay. All right. Because like that's the thing that was like most striking to me when I was watching this is like when I was talking to Amber about us doing this particular one, I said I haven't watched the original in like forever, and I was like, and Amber goes, I remember you coming home from the 2017 one and you saying you hated it, and I couldn't remember why I hated it. So when I went back and watched the movie, was like, oh man,
And you started with the 95
yes,
one, right? Okay.
I watched the original one. And it was like comfort food.
Okay.
It was like coming home again after being away a very long time. It was just fun to watch. And I didn't want to read, so I found the sub version of it and just watched it, or the dubbed version and just watched it. Great storyline. And then I went back and watched the 2017 one, trying to figure out why I hated it so bad. And the entire time I was watching it, I was like, I don't remember why I hated this movie. I don't remember why I hated this movie. And then it got to the point where at the end, when Major and the guy were kind of laying next to each other, when the sniper showed up, And it was that change in the storyline that I did not like it.
Okay, where they kind of like the one team member from Major just happened to be right there to save her, and therefore she gets to like.
It was less than that. So they pretty much destroyed her body. So like when they were laying together in the anime, they blow the head off
Yeah.
of the one thing, and then they pretty much destroy her too.
Yeah, she's gone.
And then Bato was able to like grab her code and push it into another body.
They took her brain case out and put it into a black market body.
Yeah, and then he was like, "Are you still you?" And he's like, "I'm not Major. I'm not experiment. I'm not
2501.
Yeah, I'm something different." And then the end of the show was, let's see what this newborn can get into.
Yeah.
It was a great ending. And this one, it was like, well, we might be able to get another fucking movie out of this. So let's like keep Scarlett Johansson's pretty face intact and not, I didn't like the weave. And it wasn't until the very end of the movie where I was like, okay, I remember where I didn't like this. The change of like, we were all street kids and we were the first experiments and.
Yeah. So I think that's when I first started watching the 2017 one, and they're kind of like, you're the first of your kind. I'm like, I mean,
right out the park first. Right out the park
like,
first swing.
I'm not sure about like that particular change, but then it was me comparing it to the other one. I'm like, well, let me just watch it as a movie and see where it goes from here. And then like the first time Major wakes up, she's like, listen, lady, this is just a shell, and inside of you is the ghost. I'm like, you don't have to say the name of the movie in the first like 15 minutes to be like, so Johnny Street Man coming off the street to watch a movie to be like, what's Ghost in the Shell? That's silly. Well, we've got to explain what Ghost in the Shell means in the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So that, your average movie watcher will understand this crazy concept.
Yeah.
Like, just that's dumb. But then I just kind of try to watch the movie. I'm like, it's not bad. It's not great. And I think a lot of the visuals in it are cool. And that's why I would bump it from a 5 to a 6.
And I had the same thing. So the movie was very pretty. Very pretty.
Except for the city. So watching the 95 one, I love the way the city looks.
Right.
And then you go to the 2017 one, and they're just like, holograms, explosions here. And like, it looks like noise.
Generic.
They tried to gussy it up so much that it looks super, super fake. Whereas in the other one, it just looks like a city.
And I think that was the other thing that kind of impacted me too, is that in the animated one, they take a moment. It's like almost like 5 minutes of them just showing different areas of the city and like what's going on. It had nothing really to do with the storyline other than show you like, this is the city. This is the atmosphere of where you're at. These are people walking through a park. This is like, the river. Like, someone was flexing their animated muscles at that point. It had nothing to do with the storyline. Someone was just like, I want to show some shit.
And
like,
just show what the city's like.
Yeah, and those parts were beautiful.
Yeah. Another thing I think that sets it apart is because when they're showing that city off, they're showing it from like a person's perspective. Like you're on the streets looking up at the cities, or you're in a window looking down at the thing. So you're kind of experiencing that city, how someone in that city would experience it. But when you're watching the other one, the 2017 one, it's
high
all
shots,
sweeping drone shots floating through the city and being like, check out these amazing graphics. And like, it just doesn't feel it. It feels like you're showing me a scene out of a video game to be like, here's the setup swoop shot. I'm like, I don't care.
You're right. I remember when they were originally trying to sell the 2017 version of it, then they showed the fight in the water.
Yeah.
And that was pretty damn good. Then I think people went and saw the 2017 version and they were just like, that's not this. I don't necessarily want the same movie. I appreciate what they tried to do, but I don't like it when certain movies cop out on something that was very poignant about the original thing. And like, I get it. You got Scarlett Johansson for Major, and there's a chance that people were going to love this movie, and you're like, okay, let's do Standalone Complex with her now, because that stuff's out there. It exists. But does she still look like Major in Standalone Complex?
She's still Motoko Kusanagi and looks like her in that one. And I need to go back and watch it to see if maybe it's before this movie. I don't know the placement of it. And I know there's a sequel to this movie too, which I've never seen, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, which has a geisha fight in it.
So you think this is basically just like the 2017 version could be like elements of both?
I think there's even a third movie that they pulled from too, potentially, where it's got a bunch of stuff in it that I am not privy to per se. Because I like the movie, but this is like one of those ones where I would watch and like, it's neat, and then just never have a desire to watch again because I've kind of already experienced it and it's left its impression on me. But it's not like a big one that I've just got to like keep watching and keep watching, which is why these ones were hard for me to grade. Because I was initially thinking a 6 for Ghost in the Shell, but I'm like, there's so much cool stuff in this. I don't know that it's just a 6. But also, I'm not going to, like, watch it, like, immediately after discussing it, go home and pop it in the DVD player and watch it again.
Yeah. It's there. I think it was the complexity of the storyline for me for the original Ghost in the Shell, where it's like the garbage man. Like,
It's so good.
That's something that's just so outlandish and like so basic, but it's brilliant when they start talking about like the thing is moving. It's not a guy that's actually doing. It's a dude that's been fucking hacked.
Yeah.
You know, like when that reveal comes up where they're like,
that's so
is this
good.
the picture of your daughter? And it's just a picture of him and walking his dog.
Yeah.
And he still sees his daughter in the picture. He's like, yeah, that's my beautiful angel. And it's like, it's you in this picture. What about your house? Oh, I have this house where, my daughter and my wife live. You live alone. We've been to your house.
No, I just moved in because I'm having trouble with my wife. Well, no, you've lived here for 10 years.
Yeah, like that, dude, that is like...
It's just, and then it kind of ends with him asking, like, can you get rid of this? And they're like, no, we can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the times that people have had to try to have this out, like, done away from him. There's been like 2 successful cases, and it's not worth a risk.
Yeah, you'll get used to it. It'll get better, but like, yeah.
Your ghost got hacked. You just got to kind of deal with it. And that's just a crazy thing to think about. Like, you're so cybered up that someone can go in and just kind of like get to your brain and alter your memories.
I mean, if you really think about it, instead of like altering your memories to that, they could just like erase everything you knew and just have like on a loop of Goatsy. That's got to be like a personal hell all in itself. I mean, it's funny because I like how they preface at the beginning of the movie, and it's like we're on the cusp of like this cybernetic dawn of human beings, and like people are starting to do these things. So like they're not trying to tell you that it's so far in the future that like all these cool things are happening with like altering our bodies. It's like we started altering our bodies, and then we've had this breakthrough. I liked that it was more of an AI thing in the original movie,
Yeah.
where it was like an AI that kind of got out of their control.
Yeah, and it's so like this movie takes place in 2029, so they weren't going like super far future per se. But I like in so many movies the AI is like it's going to be what destroys us. But in this one, the AI became sentient, and it was just kind of the point where it's like, well, I can't just make more AIs because they'll be exact copies of me. Some virus comes that can beat me, you could just wipe all of them out. I need to be able to iterate myself, make myself different, become more human. So essentially, it's like he's playing Mass Effect and chose the synthesis ending. It's like, no, we need to become one so that I can still propagate and I can die. He wants to die because that's important for evolution and change to happen.
That's true.
So you kind of end up getting that not AI is the enemy. It's that kind of hopeful. It's like, no, we can live together. It's like we take what's best from humanity and what's best from AI and we put them together and become something that's the combination of us with nothing lost between us.
And because I'm a threat, you want to eliminate me.
Yeah, it's you don't like what I am, or I'm your little pet program out of control. You just want to get rid of me. And I don't want that.
It always comes down to control. It's like the things that we can't control are the things that ultimately try to kill us because we try to control it.
Yeah, and it doesn't really want anything super awful. It just like I want to live.
I want to be.
Yeah, I want to change. I want to exist. I want to change. I want to propagate, and I want to die.
But in the 2017 version, of course, they have to go with like some kind of a fucking love story, and corporations are bad. So like, and I think there was while I was watching the movie, I was like, this looks good. That looked nice. These special effects are great. Some of the martial arts scenes are awesome. I like Bateau. I thought he was great.
He was good.
And then it hit a point where I went, oh.
Yeah.
And Amber went, what? And I said, I remember why I didn't like this movie. And then she didn't ask any other questions. I finished the movie, and then I told her, like where I thought it was a cop out. The search for more dollars. But I mean, I'm kind of curious now. if I would like the 2017 version more if I watched the second and third animated movie.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to do that because like the geisha fight in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
that shit was fucking dope, especially when she grabbed the dude and like spidered up the fucking
Yeah.
wall. Like that part looked awesome. When she put the gun in its face, it was like, please help me.
Yeah.
Like that was heartbreaking when she put to me it was heartbreaking when she put the round into it, because knowing the storyline of these are robots that are just trying to do a job, what they're programmed to do, and then they get threatened.
But I also wasn't sure if that was real, or if that was just something that Major was seeing.
Well, it's like, please help me. Please help me. If you work with this corporation, you're going to die. So yeah, it was probably like, let me try and spare this robot. I put a lot of time hacking, and then, she's going to shoot it. Okay. Well, here's your fucking warning.
Well, I think it was. I wonder if it was just like ghost images, kind of like how she was seeing the pagoda or whatever, like burning. If that it never said anything to her, instead it was just she's looking down at something, and just kind of the memory of someone saying, "Please help me," was coming back to her.
Could be, but I mean, I also would imagine that like a lot of these robots, it seemed like a lot of these androids seem so detailed that like they have their own personalities, and I would imagine they'd want to survive too. So, just watching the original, like all these old feelings started coming back to me, where it was kind of like, you had the corporate dude in the animated show, but it was more of a, we need to get this under control, instead of a, this is the future of my company and I need to like, contain this.
No, was the leader of Sector 6, was he? The one that came in and try to like take the body back?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was basically, they were trying to like contain the outbreak of it. They were trying to keep the secret of what it was, and at the same time contain it before it got any further.
Before it got out.
In this one, it was, this thing is like my masterpiece, and something from the outside has got a grudge against me and my company. So, I've got to try and like stop this thing. Because if they said it once, they said it 1,000 times. You have no idea how valuable you are.
Yeah.
And then she even points out, I know I'm very expensive. And then finally it was one person was like, it's not that. You are the first of your kind.
Which she wasn't.
Yeah. And well, I mean, of course that had to be the big reveal of, we were experimenting on the fucking Less Dead. You were the one that we finally had a breakthrough. And like the one thing that made me giggle is she was like, you're perfect. You're super important. And then like when the memory started coming back, he's like, ice it. Yeah. We'll start again. And it was kind of like, oh, so much for being fucking perfect.
Yeah. She's like, I can erase the memories. Like, they'll come back, murder it. Like,
yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man.
And then he delivered the line, which I liked in the 2017 version. That's the problem with humans. That's the problem with humanity. The soul, or whatever it was, the conscience or whatever like that. But there's a lot to really like about the 2017 version.
I like the relationship between her and the scientist, that kind of matronly, like, I made you and I care for you. You're not just a project to me.
Yeah.
Which I think was interesting. I liked Bato's actor. I don't necessarily like that he lost his eyes in an accident. It's like, oh man, I have to have these. Because I think Bato was just like, I want cool new eyes. And he just got cool new eyes. I don't know that there's some tragic backstory to it, because it's not, in like the original one, it's not like, oh my god, I have to have this replacement. It's more of like, I can get a new liver and drink twice as much, sweet. And it's just kind of things you do to yourself. You put yourself in a brain case because it's protecting you. It's going to allow you to live outside of your body, because the body's fragile. It might potentially die. You've got a bulletproof frame around your brain.
Yeah,
you're going to be able to go that much more, and it's more hopeful. And it's just kind of technology there to help people. And I think that's more interesting, because it's not really a story that gets told that much.
Well,
most of our stuff is kind of doom and gloom. AI is going to get us, and oh my god, you had a robot arm. It's not really a piece of you. How are you going to integrate with this piece of machinery? It's like, no, it's your arm.
Yeah, but I mean, even then they still like closed in on it with the 2017 version, where it's like you have to take this stuff. Like, at least they were lying to her, saying your brain is going to reject your body. You have to keep putting this stuff in you. And then you find out that that's a lie too.
Yeah, it's a memory suppressant or whatever.
Yeah, which I thought, like I said, there's a lot to love about the 2017 version. We're not just dunking on it.
There's cool scenes in it, like the one where she met up with the Major's real mother or whatever. I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
like that was kind of heartbreaking when she walks in and starts like, "This is my house."
Yeah, well, when she says, "You remind me a lot of her," and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Why is that?" And she was like, "It's the way you look at me." When she said that, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then when she went to leave the house, and she's like, "Go visit me again," I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" It was like two gut shots back to
Yeah.
back.
Well, they also kind of explain why, Makoto Kusanagi is random white girl is because they put her in just put her in the body, and it's kind of like, yeah, your name's like Mackie Killian or something like that, same initials, MK,
Oh,
but just
I didn't realize that.
yeah, Makoto Kusanagi, and like I can't remember what it first. It was like Maki Killian.
But whatever. It's she's always going to be Major to me.
Yeah.
So like that's I've been referring to her as Major for like as long as I've been watching these movies.
Nah, I've been calling her like Makoto.
That's I don't care what her name is. To me, she's always Major. But I got into anime back when I was 12 years old. I'm closing in on 50 now, which gives you any kind of idea. The short version of the story is I joined an anime group way back in the day where it was basically a bunch of nerds who had pen pals in Japan. And those pen pals were basically recording episodes that came on TV for people on VHS tapes and then sending them with like their pen pal letters back to America. And then Americans would basically get their collections, put them together, and dub them on other videotapes.
It's like back in the day before internet and torrents and stuff like that. Like maybe you don't care about Friends, but someone in Japan cares about Friends, and you speak a little Japanese, and so therefore you record Friends, translate it in Japanese or something like that, and then you mail it to your pen pal in Japan, and they speak a little English. So they translate some episodes there, and then they send them over here, and then you just start spreading that stuff because now you've got the dub of it, and you're kind of a cultural exchange of VHSs recorded off of TV.
And ain't it beautiful?
Yeah. Now you just kind of it's everywhere translated up already.
Yeah, when I started watching anime, I just happened to I walked through a tiny Charleston convention center that was basically having a comic book show. And I walked by two people. I don't think they'd mind if I use their names because they're two awesome and incredible people. Ted and Debbie DeLorme. They were starting the Charleston chapter of like the anime club. And it was like basically every other Saturday, show up at their apartment, sit down with snacks in their den and just watch VHS copies of like Akira. We watched one called The Samurai, which was fucking fantastic.
Did you get Fist of the North Star?
So we had watched a little bit of Hokuto no Ken, not a lot of it, but it was like we watched the movie where you get to see like Kenjiro's like such a bad yeah. And the first time I watched it, I remember we were laughing our ass off, and then the dude like all of a sudden distorted and exploded. We're like, holy shit!
That's the meme that everyone knows too. Watashi wa mo shinderu. Nani?
I also like the whole him just walking through the buildings. The building falls, and like he just kind of like walks straight through it, like he's a razor through a fucking hunk of cheese.
So like,
yeah, it's silly, but it's like
that shit was cool back in like when you're in the 80s or whatever.
Oh yeah, there's so many like animes right now that I want to recommend to people. Like, there's one I watched called Bao that was fucking awesome. I don't remember who animated it, but like, I sat down with a young buck at my work the other day, and we're talking about anime, and he's like, "Have you watched Naruto?" And I was like, "I don't want to watch Naruto." And he's like, "What about like Inuyasha?" I was like, "I don't want."
Is he picking the stuff with hundreds and hundreds of episodes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you should watch Bleach. And I can, no, thank you. You
Yeah.
should watch One Piece. No, thanks.
Yeah, you should watch Full Metal Alchemist. I was like, you know what? I'll give Full Metal.
That one's at least done.
Yeah. But then I got to the little girl dog episode, and I'll be honest with you, I tapped the fuck out.
Okay.
I didn't want to watch after that because it was too much. Because I kept seeing the meme, and I was like, oh, they're adorable. And then I watched the episode, and I was like, fuck
No, it's
this show.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's fucking horrifying. Like, I haven't been gut punched like that in a good long time by an anime. Just I fell out of the anime scene for the longest time. I think I still have some of those VHS tapes.
Like recorded from TV
like no dubs, no nothing. Like whenever Ted would translate or put something on a VHS tape, he would we'd watch anime, and we'd leave him a little piece of paper that said, "This is the stuff we'd like you to record," and then he would record it, super long play for 6 hours of recording time, and then he would just record what you wanted on the tape, and then you would mark the beats on the tape and then try and fit as much as you could in a 6-hour tape. Every single thing we ever watched in this apartment, none of it was translated, none of it was dubbed. So it was like they were just speaking straight up Japanese, and you just kind of had to read between the lines.
Yeah, and kind of. I thought there used to be people that would be able to speak the other language, buy it, translate it, and then you send that stuff out too. But that might have come a little later.
That was way past me. Okay. I was literally, because Ted had told me his formula of like getting these animated shows, and I knew that there was some other stuff out there. I'll be honest with you, I was crazy for Ranma back in the day. I fucking loved Ranma, and I loved Urusei Yatsura. Still two of my favorites. And Urusei Yatsura no longer is the longest running anime, but like I think they capped out at like 200 and some odd videos, which is remarkable.
Videos or episodes?
Episodes. Sorry. And then like 10 OVAs. So like that show was like super popular. But anyways,
I was gonna tack on to that because that's about where he started with anime. When I started with anime, like really, companies over here were starting to translate it, and you would buy a VHS tape with 2 episodes, and then you would wait months for them to put out another VHS.
Yeah.
2 episodes.
Wow.
So you'd kind of go to the store or whatever and be like, oh, here. And usually they're still not everywhere. It's not mainstream. Like you couldn't go up to Maine or wherever where culture hadn't caught on yet and like buy anime. Right. You pretty much had to be like in a city. Like you go to the Best Buy in a city and you could buy the VHS tapes. Back in the day when like all the VHS tapes had like part of a picture on the side. And when you put them all on your shelf, it made like a collage of like of the series.
Oh man, mine just said Polaroid.
And then eventually, like DVDs came out, and they were putting out like similar-ish format, but now they had like 3 to 5 episodes. Wow. And now you only need to wait like for the 5 DVDs to come out instead of like the 10 or 13 tapes to come out. Oy. And it became a little bit easier to collect them. But one of my issues would be, I would watch it. The next one's not going to be out for 2 months or whatever.
So you have to rewatch it.
And then you just kind of like forget about it too. Like I liked this show when I started watching it a year ago, but now I'm not watching it as much, and they're putting out new stuff, and I'm just not thinking about it. I don't go pick it up. So I've got a lot of shows that are like the first 3 DVDs, and I'm missing like the next 3 DVDs. Oh, damn. So I have a lot of half seasons. And then finally, when Blu-rays came out, they're just kind of like, now the whole season is on it, and that's much easier to collect that way.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude! I am so sorry you had to put up with that. Holy shit! Like I would imagine if hopefully Dragon Ball Z was on DVD by the time it wasn't. That was tapes too. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Imagine if you spent.
I still have like those VHS tapes that make images.
How much was one tape that had 2 episodes?
Maybe like $15-$20.
Dude, you know how chapped my ass would be if I spent the money on like 2 episodes and it was like $40 to watch Goku fucking power up. Mm-hmm. Dude, oh my God, I would be insanely mad if it was just like, on this episode of Dragon Ball Z, and it's like, okay, well, he powered up. Let's see what happens on the next episode.
Those ones might have come packed with like maybe 3 episodes just because it was translated on TV. So they were churning them out a bit more, whereas a lot of them would be like the ADV films. It's kind of like they're a smaller company. They're like, oh, we put our effort together and got 2 episodes on this VHS tape for you. Please buy it so we can make the next tape for you. We can actually have it translated.
Holy shit, dude. Oh my God, I am so... Holy shit. You took one for the team, brother.
But so nowadays, anime fans are just like, what's on Netflix? Oh, this one, a whole season. Let me just click play and watch all of it. Oh, it's pre-translated? Right. Like that back in the day when you would buy a tape and you would put it in and be like, why are they speaking Japanese? It's like, oh, I bought the subbed version. Ah, damn it. And then, as I got older, I'm like, I bought the dubbed version. Damn it. I want to watch it in the original Japanese.
Oh, wait, this DVD has all of it.
Yeah,
and it's in French.
The DVD had both of them, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and it's in French.
Yeah, you didn't have to buy both.
Yeah.
Or one or the other and pay attention. You could just buy the DVD and get, like, English and dubbed.
Keep it alive, kids.
Dubbed and subbed.
Make our sacrifice worth it. Make it worth it.
So that's how old we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching anime before anime was even overseas. But yeah, it's incredible. Like I've never heard your side of the story on that one. Like, I've seen the tapes at your house.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed there was only 2 episodes on each one of those VHS tapes.
Well, I don't have my VHS tapes out anymore. What you see are the DVDs. There's actually 3 to 5 episodes on the DVD. You had more space.
Right.
A lot of them were already done. Mm-hmm. Like they had put out the VHSs already, and now they're going on to DVD. Therefore, they can put a little bit more until eventually you get to the point where they're like, this was after VHS tapes, and now you're only getting like 3 episodes on this particular Blu-ray player. But if I could show you through my house and be like, I have this season and it's not done, and I have this season and it's not done, and I have this show and it's not quite done, and this one I actually have all of this one. Like I've got all of Read or Die, I've got all of Noir, but Claymore, I'm missing like the last 2 DVDs, and sometimes I think like I could go to Amazon and maybe just buy the whole series on Blu-ray and just actually watch it.
It's when you were collecting is when I was no longer interested. So I was interested when I was young. Interested through my teenage phase, and then I hit 20s and discovered pot and alcohol, and then it just anime fell off the radar for me altogether.
Which ironically now when it's super easy to watch, I'm not as into it anymore.
Well, so I hadn't watched anything for the longest time. I was watching like DBZ, but only because it was coming on like Cartoon Network. But like it's funny with DBZ with me is that when DBZ came out, I was kind of like, is that Goku? You know, like I couldn't figure it out because everything I'd seen was the original Dragon Ball stuff where he was still a kid.
Yeah.
Where he was like, Gohan when Gohan was little, running around with Krillin. So like that's what I was used to. Him, Krillin, and Kami, and then the big bad guy back in the day was fucking Piccolo.
Yeah.
So like they put out DBZ and I was like, okay, this is something different. And then like me and all my friends, like smoking weed, watching fucking Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network, just having a ball. Because like that show, it really popped it up to the next level. Like the violence, the fighting, like all of that shit was fucking dope.
It was awesome back when I was in high school or middle school, whatever. I think I was mostly in high school during that time.
Yeah.
When it was like coming on TV.
Yeah, the kick up in the air, kick down to earth, and then kick across the fucking thing.
You just watch the flashes across like they're going so fast. They're just flashes or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first time they do the whole, like Goku kicked somebody up in the fucking sky, and then like instant transmission up there, kicked him back down to the ground, and then right before he hit the ground, kicked him so he's like sailing across the top of the land. First time I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest day of my life. Like, I thought that was the coolest fucking shit I had ever seen, ever. I was like, anime can't get better than this. Yeah. And then it did. Like, Dragon Ball Z is great, don't get me wrong. I love DBZ.
Yeah, there's stuff better than Dragon Ball Z, but I don't
Like, Bao was like one that was just so fucking good. There's a handful of them. There's an anime that Matsumune Shiro did called Black Magic Mario M66.
Okay.
That was basically kind of like the same kind of concept of this, where it's like androids, just kind of like going out there and doing their things, but like these ones were on the precipice of termination, so basically they're just like trying to live. But I'll see if I can find that one and see if I can let you check it out. But this particular one was hard for me because the original is fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. Like it did exactly what it needed to do at that time. It was innovative. It was beautiful. Great storyline. Like all the effects of like them with the adaptive camouflage when they're like running through the water and shit.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you would see it like how it actually is, where they're like invisible, and sometimes you see this shimmer so that you as an audience member could kind of see it, or maybe something hit it just the wrong way, so maybe the character could spot like that quick, brief little shimmer.
Yeah.
But when they're in that fight and you got like all the wide open city, it's a nice and bright, and the guy's just kind of like admiring it for a second, and then you get like that fight where you just kind of see him like punching at nothing, and his arm twisting and like, and then just flipping around. It's dope.
Yeah. And then, like, as she's basically flipping him, you get that brief flicker as, like, water's hitting the adaptive camouflage before, like, putting his fucking ass in the ground.
And then you also get the moment, like, after she beats him, where he's like, you're never going to get anything out of me. She's like, you don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
And you know, where were you born? What's your name? And then he's just kind of, like, got that blank expression of, like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Whereas, and the 2017 one was kind of missing that. Because they put the garbage man and that man into the same man, and it didn't work that well.
They had that moment where he said that at the water part, and she basically said, you're nothing to me. You don't even know who the fuck you are. We just need to stop you, kind of a thing. But like, it felt like it was missing something because I don't know. The storyline just felt deeper and like more sinister in the original one. I feel like they were just kind of stretching it out. What you said about Bato with like him getting injured and getting the eyes, it's like I don't even remember him never having normal eyes. In the show, he just already had the cybernetic eyes. Now, what I did like about the 2017 version is that he seemed like he wasn't kind of on board for that kind of stuff because he kind of kept asking her, how does this feel? How does that feel? How do you see these things? And then once he got the eyes, I liked how he was like, I could see out there. And she held up the finger. She's like, how many fingers were holding? And he's like, real mature, But like, I like when she walked off and he like looked at the girl.
Yeah, well, he looked through the wall.
Yeah, he looked through the wall and saw the girl and he went, like, I liked how he was kind of amused by it, know. But I like how Bato looks in the anime better than like the weird bolt eyes that he had. And like the movie, it just looked weird.
Yeah, they translate better in animation than they do in real life. Because also you need an actor to be able to see. You can only do so much, whereas in the anime you can have a hollowed out skull or whatever, and it's fine. You can do that. That's a drawing.
Yeah. But like it's the movie was gorgeous. Like I was literally commenting as I was watching it because Amber didn't really want to watch it. She wasn't really into it. But I just remember telling her, I was like this shit it's stunning. It looks stunning. But yeah, when they did that change up, the spider tank.
So much better than the original.
Oh my God. Like, especially when she's looking down the warehouse and she's seeing the car and she's like, it's got to be a trap. Do you see any lights down there? No, I don't see anything. And then like the glass falls, and when the glass hits the tank and you see that flicker.
The shimmer of it.
Yeah, and you see like the outline of it, and the car is distorted through the fucking adaptive camouflage at that point. Dude.
So good.
That shit was fucking dope.
But it's also what the original has over the new one is that it's not dark as shit.
Good point.
Because I mean, you show like, I guess one of the first, like direct things. I guess maybe it's the second when Major wakes up in like the bed, and kind of like the shades flip open and open up to the window so that you can see the outside. And the room is dark, but the city outside is bright and beautiful. And it's kind of only her being illuminated by the light outside. Whereas in the other one, you've got the dark room, you've got the dark city, kind of like with all of its little lights, and the bed is glowing.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
And it's all dark. And whereas the other one, it's kind of showing how nice and vibrant the city looks. And then you get other ones like when she's diving. I don't know. It just got more color to it. Whereas the other one was like all fucking dark as shit.
It was dark as shit. And the only thing that was really like lit up was like the jellyfish kind of like moving through. But I mean, I thought the jellyfish, like the man-o-wars that were moving around her, I thought that looked neat.
I mean, it looked neat, but also I think it's missing the point. Like, Major went diving because there was nothing.
Right.
And in the new one, they're showing like, look at all the beautiful stuff underwater. I'm like, she's not diving because it's beautiful. She's diving because it's away from everything. It's quiet, and it kind of, where does she fit in this, in like the emptiness of everything or whatever.
And but she does say that, and he was like, I don't understand why you keep going down there. And she's like, because there's no data stream, there's nothing. You know, it's just, and it makes me kind of scared, and that makes me feel alive. These are all concepts that like, when they start bringing them up in the context of like a human brain and android body, I'd fucking lose it. When she wakes up the initial time and she's doing the where she's trying to like
trying to get her body to work.
Well, I mean, do you even need to breathe? Like, it's just a brain.
Brains need
oxygen. So you would think that you would put systems inside of the actual android body.
And I think that's what would make people crazy. Like if you just made like, you've got automatic vents on the side that just bring in oxygen, and now you're just not going to feel human anymore, and that might just do something to your psyche.
And that's where I was. Well, that's where I was when she started doing that. It was like, is her brain telling her, I need to breathe, and so you need to breathe how you used to, but like shit don't work like that anymore. So that's why she was kind of like losing her mind. I liked that. Like, but and I liked how they tried very hard to make the construction of the body in the beginning of it. Yeah,
that scene looked good, I think. Where it's kind of like her body's getting put together. It goes through like that little system to kind of apply the skin to it, and then it kind of like flakes off or whatever.
And then like floats away.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of care in this movie. I believe someone sunk a lot of money into this movie. There was a lot of care. For the change up in the storyline,
that's fine.
It was still a concise storyline, but it's not it's not what I think originally made this movie popular. You know,
It's just kind of some cyberpunk future where it's like, oh, it turns out the corporation you're working for is evil,
Yeah.
and you need to turn against it. I'm like, I've seen that shit before.
and it's a love story again. It's like I don't need it to be a love story.
No.
You know, like what it was in the original movie was perfectly good enough. It was a
Yeah.
thing that was trying to fucking live, and it was removing shit out of its way.
Yeah, and it's kind of a story about a woman who wishes she could be more than just a part of something,
Yeah.
and then becomes part of something bigger.
Yeah, it's hands down the animation still beats the
Yeah.
new one. But that said, I feel like the new one is still worth a watch.
It's not awful. I'm sure it's kind of generic-y movie, but I think there's enough in it that's interesting.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the original movie, if you were to watch the 2017 one right now, I think you'd be like,
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Maybe not when you buy in Blu-ray like some people here, but
$12. You can't beat $12.
yeah, it's cheap. I had seen it.
You can't beat that. That's a great price.
And I also still prefer to own it physically. Because we've had the talk of like digital media is ephemeral. One day the company could decide you don't get to watch that anymore, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you're buying a license. I have it.
You know, and it's funny that you say that because like there's so many games and movies that have like disappeared. Like their Scott Pilgrim video game, the little beat 'em up, like ran into like some legal problems where like those copies just disappeared.
Oh, wow.
And the next thing you know, like the CDs for that game were selling on eBay for like $150. And I really wanted to play it, but not for $150.
Yeah.
And then something happened in like the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 months where the game came back. And I bought it on the PlayStation Store. But it's like, I don't like the idea of like
They can take it away again.
buying a game and then the servers just go away.
Yeah, you're buying a license to the game, and you have it for as long as they decide you do. But
Yeah.
how long is that really going to be? And that's kind of, I've bought a few movies on like YouTube and stuff like that. Like even earlier this month, I talk about buying like The Ring in a 3-pack. I would rather have it physically, but I could buy 3 movies for $20 digitally. It's pretty good. And I've gone to Best Buy. There's not much. They've got like the newest stuff, but you can't go back and get like a backlog of things. So you've got to go to Amazon, and please give Amazon money. I don't want to do that either, per se.
Everything has gone to the internet, and it's. I hate that brick and mortar stores are going away, but at the same time, whenever I go to a particular store and I'm like, oh, this movie is like $25 here, and then you go online, you could find it for $17 and free shipping.
Yeah, or you could get the digital version for $12
Yeah, but it's
and watch it immediately.
But I mean, I agree with you as far as like the digital versions. I don't like the digital versions for the fact of it's like, okay, download this movie digitally. Okay, now you have to wait 45 minutes while it like uploads to your computer if you don't have like super fast internet. It used to kill me like when PlayStation 4 games started doing the whole thing where it was like you go out, you buy the game, you bring the disc home, you pop it in the thing.
And the disc doesn't have anything on it.
Yeah, it's just a placeholder. It's like it's that thing that tells the PlayStation, yeah, he actually bought it.
Yeah, he bought this. Download it, please. So then you have to download the game anyway.
And not that I pirated this, I'm just telling a story. It wasn't necessarily me. A person that I knew had downloaded a game off the net, and the fact that it didn't have like a physical copy of the disc, it wouldn't run. So another person that this friend knew how to make a dupe of the drive, like to put just enough code on the drive, or at least on the PlayStation itself, that when you put a disc in, it just recognized it as
it sees that disc as any acceptable disc or whatever.
Yeah. And like so that friend was able to play that game and several other games that way. But of course he bought copies of those games if it was stuff that he liked, because he's a good friend.
And physical media also has a thing over it where like we could find, like, I think at the moment Ghost in the Shell is free on YouTube. Like you can just kind of go there and watch it with ads. Ghost in the Shell 2017, not really streaming anywhere. So it's kind of a matter of like, hey man, I can't find Ghost in the Shell 2017. And I'm like, here, physical media.
Yeah. But see, that shocks me, honestly, because like between like I have access to a lot of friends' Plex servers. And then like you have Pluto, you have Amazon, you have all these different things.
It even said it was on Pluto TV, but it wasn't.
Yeah, and I went there and looked, and it was not there, which really kind of shocked me. But it's like, This movie came out in 2017.
And yeah,
Surely I could find it somewhere.
and it's gone already. You got to own it digitally.
Yeah,
and rent it or something.
And I felt so bad whenever you came over that night, and I was like, I hadn't watched the movie, and then like I couldn't find the other movie that we did the review on, so you had to bring that one over, and we had to watch that one too.
And then that one, at least the fun thing about digital is when I go somewhere with my phone, I'm like, I own it on YouTube. What's your TV? And I just go, that's up there on the TV.
You look so cool as you flick it up to the TV.
If only. That's only Marvel tech or whatever, where you get your hollow phone out and you just go.
Yeah. Tony Stark that shit.
And, you know,
Yeah.
let me expand the movie, make it bigger.
But
I guess speaking of like Marvel tech, the 2017 was like, just put it on the phone, man. You know, like when there's that guy watching a fight like in 3D, like on this little thing in front of him, and it's holographic, and it looks fucking awful. You can't see shit.
yeah, it's like
you're getting the fight from like a this vision. Like, dude, just get a tablet and watch it. Or like they're doing a call and like this little thing comes up and it looks fucking like, dude, just give me the information paper, please. Your holograms look awful and do not convey information.
Yeah, I actually took note of that too, because like the dudes that were like fighting, it was like, whew, and then it would like
it's like this.
Yeah, it like you'd see a dude do a move, and then it would like cut, and then like the other guy's like, ha, and I was like, dude, we haven't gotten better than that in the future. Holy shit, this is horrible.
I think it was like there was a window beside him with the fight right there.
Yeah, and not only that, when they went to the strip club and like the girls were dancing, the hologram strip girl, like it was like watching old porn on satellite back in the day, where it was like all, you know, like, and you're like, and you're trying to see a boob between like all of the scramble.
Was that a boob?
Yeah.
No, it was an eye. Never mind.
Yeah. But like I just remembered like she walked by and like looked at the one thing, and like you had the one hologram that was like clipping, that was like paying attention to her, and then you had the other one was like, and I was like, dude, someone tune that fucking thing in. I'd feel like I'm losing money.
Just put it on the screen.
Yeah, just put it on screen.
Come on, it doesn't have to. Trying to make it look futuristic makes it look awful. Then I think that's some of the visuals in this. Some of the visuals are cool. Some of them look like they tried to futurize it, and it just made it look dumb.
Yeah, but the last thing I was going to say is in the 2017 version, where the guy had his corporation and his name was everywhere, and the only thing I could think of was Brondo. It's what plants crave. You know, in Idiocracy, the name of that one was like everywhere in that movie. So like I was like, I guess this guy's the new Brondo.
It's what plants crave.
It's
Brain case. It's what bodies crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes. But what are electrolytes?
They're what plants.
It's what plants crave.
Do we want to end it with scores? I've not looked at any of the scores.
Yeah.
So I think we're mostly done talking about these movies, right?
Yeah. I mean, we can expound on other stuff, but like I think we've hit like the major ones. The biggest one I want to talk about was the spider tank. That thing was, fucking dope.
And in the 2017, that fight wasn't very cool.
No, I mean, she also like. So I will say that when she tries to basically pull the brain case, the processor out of the tank in the anime, when you see like the back muscles,
the back muscles ripple and like start to like rip and
and then you see her like brace, and when that arm starts coming apart, and it's like in the 2017 version, the arm starts coming apart, and you see like some other stuff.
See some of the back ripple a little bit.
But like in the anime, like she pulls her fucking body apart,
and it looks so much more like visceral and powerful in the anime than it does in the live action one.
Yeah, because in the live action one, she's like,
oh, I lost an arm.
Yeah, okay. And then like in the 2017 version, she couldn't even move her fucking mouth after that. She was just kind of like,
you're like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, that body was just trash.
Yeah.
All right, so
but they can also do that in the original one, because you just take your brain out and put it in a new body. Whereas 2017, they're like, you're the only one of your kind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay, you can't really rip her apart.
Plus, in the 1995 version, it was like, oh, we save so much money in animation if she can't talk here. Like the body can't move. Oh, man, we are saving so much money. All right, so 1995 Ghost in the Shell. What do you think the IMDb score is on it?
7.5?
So close. 7.9.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes. No, you were right in there.
Nice.
So the 2017 version of Ghost in the Shell, what do you think the score was?
5.3?
Okay, you're a little low on that one. It was actually 6.3.
Okay.
So you were off by a point, but still, I was expecting you to like go low there.
No, I don't know. I guess I expect more people to be in the middle of the road with it.
I mean,
because I didn't hear a lot of complaining about it.
See, I did. before we went and saw that movie, I remember people were just like, "She doesn't look like Major. Her hair looks weird. The uncanny valley of this,
I heard people complaining about ScarJo was Motoko. I didn't hear people complaining about the movie.
She's not even Asian." And I was like, "She wasn't Asian in the movie either. She looked like a white girl in the movie."
No, so I think the thing with anime is you show an anime character to an Asian person, they're like, "Oh, they look Asian." You show them to an American, they look like a white person, they're like that. They look white. It's just kind of they're generic enough that you see yourself in it. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not so much anymore.
Right.
But like back in like the 80s and the 90s, like those people were like without ethnicity for the most part.
Well, it's like an anime back in the day. They used to, I think and I don't know if this is true. This is just what I was told. But like the reason that all the anime characters back in the day had like gigantic eyes.
So you can draw the emotion on them.
Yes. That, and it's like a lot of the characters in a lot of animes, they don't look Asian, they look American because they draw them with like all kind of different color hairs and everything like that. So I thought that was I thought that was interesting when I was told that. So Ghost in the Shell.
Are you going
Let's do
Rotten Tomatoes?
that's 2045. Yeah, I'm going to do the Rotten Tomato ones because I just like doing that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did they have the 95?
So right now I'm doing the 2017 one first.
For Ghost in the Shell critics, 47%.
Damn, close, dude. 43.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
My God, it doesn't seem like a critic movie to me.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, even if you're a critic, you have to at least appreciate the visuals.
I don't know that critics do appreciate the visuals.
I don't know. It's movies are supposed to be art, and there was a lot of art in this movie. Like somebody went through a lot of painstake to like get some of this stuff to look as futuristic as it did. So the audience,
it's probably gonna be closer to the IMDb. I'm gonna go 57%.
Still close, 51.
Okay.
So I have a feeling it was what you explained to me earlier, where you said these are bad metrics because people who love it will give it 5 stars, and people who hate it will give it
1.
0.
Yeah.
And this to me seemed like it was both sides of it. You had people who loved it, people who hate it, and it felt right into the middle.
Well, I think the audience scores, they get to rate it 1 to 5 stars on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas the critics have fresh or not fresh. So it's that score is more of the percentage of people that thought it was fresh, not what they would give it as a movie. So it's not that they're giving it 43%, it's that 43% thought it was a fresh movie.
So it doesn't look like they have the old school
Okay.
Ghost in the Shell, because they've got Ghost in the Shell, Sustainable War. Wait, no, that's the 2017 version. 2015, 2015.
And like SAC 2045, I think was like a movie, a animated movie that's after the standalone complex that I've not watched yet. And the guy Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence is the sequel to this one. I don't know if there's a third one or not. I don't remember. That was stuff I was researching, like very vaguely.
So there's Ghost in the Shell 2.0,
which apparently is Ghost in the Shell, but they made some of the scenes into CG.
Okay.
And I've heard, like, I kind of like, what the hell is this? Because I was looking to, like, I was thinking of maybe if I've got time, I'll watch Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence before this review. I didn't have time. So I didn't, but I was kind of flipping through to, like, IMDb to see, like, which of these do I actually need to watch. And I guess there is no third movie. It's Ghost in the Shell Innocence, and Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex 2045, and then the series Standalone Complex.
Yeah, I would like to one day sit down and watch a lot of these, but as far as it comes to, like, Appleseed is the one that is where I'm at right now. And I can't help but wonder if they started off with Ghost in the Shell, and I still think Masamune's biggest one that he did was Appleseed, because I love Dune and Embrarius. I think they're great. And Dune and Embrarius are a lot like Major and Bato.
Yeah.
But it's kind of reversed. Brarios is a full android, and Dune is the human.
Is Brarios full? I know his head is gone, but I don't remember if his body was replaced too. It might be. I don't remember.
I think there's some living tissue inside Brarios, but I think for the most part he's
a shell.
Yeah, he's a shell. And then Doonan is like full human, and then like stuff happens that starts pushing her in the other direction. But I love Doonan. She's like the best character in the fucking world. I can't help but wonder, because the 2017 version of Ghost in the Shell got panned, if we could have gotten an Appleseed movie, because Appleseed's storyline is a lot deeper.
Yeah, and if I remember right, it definitely seems a lot more futuristic than Ghost in the Shell per se.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like the buildings were like mirrored and set up in a different way, but it's still not to the point where they're putting pointless holograms everywhere.
And it's not only that, but it's like they've gotten so good in that particular future of Appleseed, where like clones, people have no fucking clue that they're clones. So like people are walking around thinking they are whole people. So some people are like that trash man in this movie, where they think they've had these full and enriched lives, and it gets to a point where like one of the main characters, I don't think we'll ever do a review on it. I don't think it'll ever come up.
Do you want to do a review on the original series itself, or is it a series or is it a movie?
It would have to be the movie.
No, I mean, was it a series, that Appleseed?
It was a movie.
It was a movie, okay.
Yeah, it was a movie. Then they did a redo movie, and then they did additional movies.
So I know that was the old, like 80, 81. Mm-hmm. Is the CG one, is that a remake, or is that just take place in the same world sometime in the future?
I think it takes place in the same world sometime in the future.
I was gonna say, because if it's a remake, we could do it here.
Yeah. So
in this format.
Yeah. No. I think it's not a remake. I think it's just a continuation, because I think Doonan has like the eye patch by that point.
Oh,
So
I would say if people like us going down memory lane of old animes, I don't necessarily want to talk about new animes, but if we go back and watch old anime, I'd be down for that shit. Because I've seen Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. I've never seen the original Bubblegum Crisis.
it was what, 2042.
Tokyo 2040, I think, is the remake. Not a remake,
So I think
but
I think it was just called Bubblegum Crisis.
the original one is Bubblegum was it Bubblegum Crash?
No, Bubblegum Crisis was the original. Crash was the redo.
So there's two previous ones. Mm-hmm. So Bubblegum Crisis, the one I have is Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040, the 98 series that I bought a single VHS of. And a single
Is that still
VHS
Pris in them?
It still is Pris and them, so I think it's kind of a reimagining of the series.
So the original Bubblegum Crisis, the stuff I'm familiar with,
And then they did Bubblegum Crash.
and then they did this, the 2040.
as kind of a update version of I think it's the same characters,
Same characters, and it's supposed
but
to
it's a new story.
right, but like the story of the old one, because I've seen some of 2040. This story is fucking heavier.
Okay, I've only seen Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. It's kind of heavy too.
And then Crash was
Crash looks like it's 91. Crisis is 87. Then Tokyo 2040 is 98.
yeah, but like yeah, there's so much old stuff that we can go back and watch. Dominion Tank Police was another one that was
we could
fucking
go back
awesome.
and watch Project Eiko and Biko.
Yeah, no, I'd totally do that.
I'd make you watch what Project Eika, is that the one that was called? Or remember I called it a pantomime. Because pretty much every shot, like the woman gets knocked down, panties.
Yeah. I can't.
That was fun. There was the old. Oh, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a dude that had animation that was like super dope.
Well, so
I got going back and talk about Noir. Have you ever seen Noir?
I know of it.
I love that one. We could go back and watch Read or Die. Have you seen Read or Die?
I have not.
That one's good. And then there was a series, Read or Die. But like, Read or Die was an OVA about a different people with superpowers, and the main character could control paper, so she could take paper and like she takes all these pieces of paper and now it's a sword, and she could do whatever she wants with it, or she could take all this paper, turn it into a paper airplane and fly with it. So she's got like complete control of her paper.
That sounds interesting.
And she also really loves books, so I think there was like one scene where she's like, I don't want to destroy this book, but she has to like do it to. And that one's fun.
Wait, did we just develop a new series off of like our love of old anime?
I don't want to talk about like the Tokyo with the wall one. What's that with the big people that?
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I don't care about Attack on Titan. I don't care about One Punch Man.
I mean, technically, we could do like there are reimaginings of the anime, and like there are like live action or CG versions of like Attack on Titan. if we wanted to do it. But
I don't care about it.
gigantic people eating little people is not really interesting.
I'm not super interested. Like One Punch Man, I watched like the first season of that one, and the
Stop
gimmick,
there.
the gimmick was like, isn't it so funny that this man can have no problem fighting, and then you build up another fight, and I'm like, well, he's just going to show up and beat him in one punch. Then he shows up and beats him in one punch, and I'm like, okay, you're just doing the gimmick.
Yeah, but I gotta admit, I like Saitama. I think
He's funny.
I just like I find it funny how powerful he is and just like how uninterested he is in everything. The first episode where it sets the tone of the show where the guy shows up with like the gigantic fucking buggy eyes and the big claws or whatever, wearing a pair of underwear because he just doesn't give a shit. And then he just rips the fucking eye out of his head and all of his guts come with it. And I was like, this is gonna be fun. Like I've got to admit, I really enjoyed the first season of One Punch Man. Second season is not as good. But I have to say, it has more depth of story.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because you find out like one of the heroes that's like super respected is like not a hero.
I think they say that the first one or the first season, so they must explore it more in the second season.
Okay.
So this is our comparing Ghost in the Shell to the other one. If you like hearing old men talk about old anime, let us know. Maybe that's a thing we'll revisit. Start pulling out the Akira and start pulling out some of the older shit.
I'm not watching Naruto.
Don't give us series that are hundreds of episodes.
It's too much.
And it's not even that it's bad. We've had this conversation before about Supernatural. Supernatural's 10 seasons, and we're like, whoa, 10 seasons. Slow your roll, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't come out like the Fairy Tale's got 1,000 episodes. I'm like, no, thank you, sir.
No. We are in full agreement on that. Don't come at us with like, hey, watch this show. There's like 500 episodes of it. Yeah, it's that good. I don't care.
Yeah, but if you've got like a show that's 22 episodes and that's it, fucking dope. Yeah, you got something that's like an OVA. Ooh. It's only like an hour.
I can make you watch Dororo now.
That's an old one. It's not an old one, is it?
It is. It's. I think it's up there.
It's new. Well, something we could do for it's newer, isn't it? Something we could do is talk about Alita we could talk about Battle Angel Alita and then Alita Battle Angel as an old school, new school, because one's the anime. So that's only like an hour, and then talk about the full movie too.
I'm not gonna ruin it, but I will say that I think we should wait for James to do that review, because him and I had an epic argument about Alita Battle Angel, the eyes. Like we had a gigantic fucking like argument, and like to the point where people in the lab were like recording us apparently, and like when the argument was over, us stating our points of view, like everyone was like, God damn, y'all should like record that shit. That was hilarious, because he was like nailing me and I was nailing him, but it was all not mean spirited. But so Dororo is not super new, but it's not super old. So 2019.
No, that's new. So stuff I'd want to talk about would be the 90s and 80s, and I'm sure stuff you'd want to talk about.
Then we can do a comparison, because it originally came out in 1969.
I don't want to watch two TV series if they're going to be like
just saying
seasons and seasons apiece.
Just saying, if you're saying that you don't want to review it just because it's new school,
okay,
that's the original.
Well, you showed me the animation. I'm like, that's new. That's new animation. That's done on a computer.
Yes, the new stuff is done on the computer, but
it still looks like cells on a computer.
It's not low. Well, no. So yes, it sells on the computer only for the fact of how it flows, because the animation is very clean. But the reason I'd like you to watch it is because it's not like clean during fight scenes and then janky at like just conversation pieces or travel pieces throughout. It's pretty good.
Oh, maybe.
I think you would like it. I think the concept is interesting enough. Because, I mean, literally, if we're basically saying that we're going to watch, like, anime here, there could be some good stuff that's new, that's out there, that people are excited about. Just as long as there's not 85 episodes of it. I don't mind watching stuff.
That's my hard cutoff is... This show really picks up when you get to the third season. Like, third season, you mean I got to go through 2 seasons before I get to the good stuff.
Too much, man. Too much.
Even if... at least if the seasons were like 8 episodes, that's not so bad. Like, when I tell people Parks and Rec, I'm like, you could skip the first season. The first season's 6 episodes. You're not missing out on much to get to the second season, which is where it picks up a little bit, and they actually find out what they're doing. When you're like, skip the first 3 seasons, and those seasons are 24 episodes, and you're like, you're having me skip like 60, 70 episodes, and then get into that's
And that's where Andy's in his prime.
Where Andy's in his prime.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess he was in the first season. In the second season, he's in his prime.
Well,
And then he's in his prime throughout the rest of it.
first season, he's just okay. He's just like, but it's like after he falls in the pit.
Yeah, which is at the end of the first season.
Yeah, and then the second season, like he's fucking hilarious after that.
I guess once he falls in the pit before the show, because he starts off with his leg
With the cast?
Yeah, and is the awful boyfriend, and it's not until the second season they try to make him funny and lovable, not just a pile of shit.
Have you been sleeping in this dumpster? Yeah. Where were you sleeping before that? In the pit? Have a tent down here? Look at all this stuff. Yeah, he was so good in that show.
So let us know if you're interested in us talking about anime. Maybe when we watch the first 2 episodes and be like, should we continue going on about this, or start the first couple episodes and be like, is this interesting or not?
The challenge also that I will give to you is find us a good old school anime that we haven't heard of.
Give it here. It's going to be easy for me. There's a bunch of them. But
it's going to be harder for me.
Give us 80s and 90s stuff. That's like, I want to talk about the 90s. I'm sure you want to talk about the 80s.
Yes.
Maybe the early aughts for me too. I think a lot of the DVDs were more early aughts when I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that's your challenge. Come at us with some old school stuff that
I'll never heard of it.
Yeah, but I was pretty all over the place back in the day, so I think it's gonna be a little more hard pressed to get one by me.
No, Plastic Little is one I was trying to remember the name of earlier.
I've seen Plastic Little
because the animation style was fucking dope.
Have you ever seen Space Adventure Cobra?
Yes, some of it, because it's the same guy that did
Captain Harlock.
Yeah, what's Galaxy Express 39?
Yes. That, and I'm not sure. I think Lupin the Third also might be the same guy who did Space Adventure Cobra.
Maybe. I don't know if I've seen... Cause is it a movie or is it a show?
Both?
I think I've seen some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
I've seen Galaxy Express 39, and that was a long time ago when it used to come on TV.
So I never watched Galaxy Express just for the fact that it looked really boring to me. It's just like Captain Harlock. I didn't watch any Captain Harlock because it looked really boring to me.
You know when we could talk about Outlaw Star? I know you like that one.
I like Gene Star one. He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we do that one.
Yeah.
I didn't even do Big O. Like Big O is.
I've never watched that one. I've seen bits of it because it was on TV.
It's campy, but it's fun campy, and I gotta admit the animation style is like pretty good too. So, just give us some stuff.
Yeah, just let's start telling us. I'm already interested in this.
Yeah, no, this is a thing now. So, you know what? Thank you just for that. So, awesome. All right, well,
join us next week for Does It Suck?
And we're also closing in on our 100th episode. Do we want to tell them what we're going to do?
It might be up already.
That's true.
Because this is the middle of February.
That's true. So yeah, we're closing on our 100th episode. We decided we just wanted to watch something that we love, and we figured something out. So
you can probably go check it. I'm sure it's up there already.
Yeah. So go check it out.
Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.